Well, okay, I've got top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started. And if you haven't already done so, please enter in your name, um, organization, the state that you're with. I see a lot of folks putting in their name. So thank you for doing that. I would like to say welcome to Nursing Home Quality Essentials today. My name is Sarah, and I'll be presenting today along with my teammate Carolyn. And our session for today is on hands-on improvement, transforming hand hygiene audit data into action plans. Before we get started, I'd like to share these resources with you. Telegen has compiled 2 online resources which you can access at any time. The adult vaccine toolkit provides resources for all settings, but some special attention for our nursing home partners due to the unique challenges in providing vaccines in the nursing home setting. And then the Vax Hub provides videos and other on-demand tools to support your training needs. So today we're going to be talking about hand hygiene and using audit data to drive action plans. Objectives for today are to identify components of an effective hand hygiene audit program, and in using audit tools to analyze and interpret hand hygiene data. And then, based on your audit findings, to outline strategies for implementing performance improvement plans. So let's get started with some fun hand hygiene facts. And we're going to have a polling question for you. My colleague, Jason, he's going to post the polling question. And when we get about 70% of responses, he'll go ahead and post our results. So here's our question. What percentage of healthcare associated infections are related to direct or indirect hand to mucosa contact, with the hands of the healthcare provider being the dynamic vector of transmission? So go ahead and answer, submit your response there. Is it A, 1.5, B, 10? Would you say C, 20, or D, 63%? And then I'm going to ask Jason when we get to about 70 or 75% to go ahead and post those results. We'll go ahead and enter. We'd like as many folks to respond as possible, and here we go. Okay, so we've got a couple of different answers. We see a lot of 63%. That's our, however, our correct answer is C. So if you responded with 20%, you are correct. So I'm sure we're all familiar with this phrase, sharing is caring. However, in healthcare, sharing infections through the care and services we provide is something we must actively prevent. Unfortunately, microbes that cause healthcare associated infections are frequently transmitted via our hands. And we know that hand hygiene is the most effective way to prevent this spread. However, studies show that missed hand hygiene opportunities among healthcare providers can be as high as 50%. And this is a concerning statistic that highlights the need for improvement. Now, what you see here, this is a compelling example that illustrates the point of missed hand hygiene opportunities. On the left there, well, what you see are 2 cultures, and they're taken from a healthcare worker who has examined a patient's abdomen with ungloved hands. And on the left is a culture taken immediately after the worker had performed the abdominal examination of the patient. And then on the right is a second culture of that same provider after performing hand hygiene with alcohol-based hand rub. This clearly demonstrates the effectiveness that proper hand hygiene has. All right, let's give a go at another polling question. Again, Jason will go ahead and post that, and I'll read the question for you. In an average 12-hour shift, depending on the number of patients and intensity of care, a healthcare provider might clean their hands as many as how many times? Would you say 50, 75, 100, or 1,500? Go ahead and submit your answer, And then when we get about 75%, Jason will go ahead and post our results. So what do you think? 50, 75, 100, or 1500? Like as many of you to respond as you can. So go ahead and take a guess. All right. We see a lot of 100s. So that is correct. If you answered C, 100, you got that answer correct. Now, we know that throughout the day, healthcare workers encounter many opportunities where hand hygiene is necessary. And a few of these moments are listed on the slide here for you. Having a regular training and education program for your staff is a key component to successful hand hygiene programs. Your staff should be able to demonstrate proper hand hygiene technique and verbalize the importance of hand hygiene in preventing infections. A second key component to a hand hygiene program is having an awareness campaign. So visual reminders such as posters and brochures placed in highly visible areas such as patient care areas or resident rooms and restrooms, because these posters and brochures can reinforce best practice. Now, there are a variety of hand hygiene resources. I've put a link there into the chat where you can find some of these resources. And with this link, you can find resources that are available both in English as well as in Spanish. Okay, so now with education and awareness in place, monitoring or observing compliance with hand hygiene ensures that staff are following best practices. Regular and random observations reinforce the importance of hand hygiene, and it also allows for real-time or immediate feedback, and it encourages staff to make hand hygiene a habit. Also, offering positive reinforcement when compliance is met will encourage continued adherence. Conducting effective hand hygiene observations requires a structured approach to accurately assess compliance. And using a standardized tool allows for consistent documentation of your observations, and it provides you data needed to target areas for improvement. So on this slide, you see Telligent's Audit Tracker. This is a fully editable tool, and it can be customized for audit process. Now, in this example, it has been adapted for hand hygiene tracking, and each step in the validation tool is entered into the tracking field. Once your audits or observations are completed, compliance results are then recorded into the tool. And looking at this example, the data allows us to easily identify areas of compliance, those that are highlighted in green, and then non-compliant, those highlighted in pink. Now, further use of this tool allows you to drill down into the data and sort by each step of the process and even by position so that you can see the compliance of your CNAs, let's say, or housekeeping and activities. So whoever you're doing the observation tools on, you can see the compliance for that specific position. This tool also captures the data both in a table format and a graph that you see here, both of which provide an excellent presentation for you to bring to your QAA and your QAPI meetings. I've included here for you some additional resources to explore. So the first is the hand hygiene tracking tool from the Agency of Healthcare Research and Quality. And the second tool there on your right is ICAR Hand Hygiene Facilitator Guide. And this tool is designed to review your facility's hand hygiene policies and practices. So aggregating compliance data then allows you to identify trends and gaps. Analyzing your data helps determine if you are making improvements, if you have met your goal, or determine if a PIP or a performance improvement project is needed. Now, for the remainder of our session, we're going to walk through a PIP together using the insights from our audit data to drive meaningful improvements in hand hygiene compliance. At this point, I'm going to turn the reins over to Carolyn.
Thank you, Sarah. Could you pull up our PIP for us, Sarah? We have a document that's already filled out and ready to go, and we're just going to go through this quickly today. And I want to tell you right off the bat that this is a working document. So while we're going to go through this entire document today and look at the different areas of it, you won't do this all at one time. So this will be done in phases as you work through your performance improvement project. So this form is available. It's a blank form on our website, and you can download it and use it for your own hand hygiene PIP or whatever PIP you're working on in your facility. Now, is anyone currently doing a hand hygiene PIP in their facility? If you are, please share with us in chat. We would love to know if you're working on something, and would love for you to share with us what you're doing. Hey, Kaylee, would you like to come off of mute and tell us a little bit about your PIP that you're doing right now? If you don't, it's okay, but we would love to hear what you're doing and how that's going for you. Well, if you feel like sharing at some point, just let us know, and we appreciate you speaking up and letting us know that you're currently working on this in your building. That's okay, no worries. So we're going to go ahead with the PIP that we have started here. This is for our nursing home here in Illinois, Shady Pines, and our PIP team name, as we go on down the chart, is our hand hygiene compliance. And under our PIP team project, where it says quality measure or area of focus, that is our hand hygiene, because that's what we are working on, of course. Now, um, data. Data is kind of what we've been talking about somewhat with our tracking and our audit data that Sarah brought up. So that's what we are using for this PIP today. But there may be other data that you utilize for your PIP, which could be maybe from your competency evaluations. Maybe there's a recent survey. Um, if if you can think of other things, other data sources that you would use, we would love for you to share that with us as well. But for today, we are going to put that our hand hygiene audits that we did for the month of February were at 80% compliance. So this is our baseline data that we are using. Now that we have that baseline data and we know where we're at, we need to set a SMART goal. And SMART, we know, is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Now, I believe Gina has asked if Kaylee would like to um, set her goal for the PIP, and or would like to share her goal for her PIP. And if you would, we would love to see what you put. But for this one, we have that our hand hygiene compliance rate will increase by 5% each month to achieve and maintain a 95% compliance rate through the implementation of our targeted training and increased availability of alcohol-based hand rub in resident care areas. And we're going to measure that by our observational audits. And we have our goal date of 5/31/25. Now, this goal is specific to hand hygiene. It's measurable at 5% per month to achieve that 95%, making it attainable. It's relevant to our purpose of hand hygiene compliance, and it is time bound with our monthly targets of increasing by 5% each month by that May 31st goal date. So if you could scroll on down for us, Sarah, I have our our PIP team members added here. And as you can see, I've added some members from different departments to be a part of this project. Now, we know that hand hygiene is relevant to everyone in the facility, so we wanted to get input from various departments. So that's always a good idea to get some different feedback from not just nursing. Nursing gets pulled into a lot of things on QAPI and PIPs, and a lot of different projects, but we want to include all of those disciplines other than nursing. We want nursing, of course, but we want to include all these other departments as well. So we have those listed out there for you. Next, we want to see what is going on with our hand hygiene compliance. And to do that, we did a root cause analysis. Now, we're not going to be able to do that together today because there's just not time. But there are root cause analysis tools, again, available on our website that can assist you with this. And we have a fishbone diagram on there, 5 whys worksheet. There's affinity groups. There's all kinds of great tools on there. So please check that out. And when you get these slides later in the week, there'll be links on there and you can go directly to that. But for today, when we did our root cause, we determined that the location of hand sanitizer stations in our facility was a problem. We didn't have many in locations that were close to resident rooms or care areas, so it made it really inconvenient for staff to use them. The next thing that we noticed that was a problem was that the staff really needed reminders to perform hand hygiene. We didn't have many signs, and some of the ones that we have were worn out and needed to be replaced. So we have listed those 2 root causes here under this section, the hand sanitizer locations and the staff needing the reminders. So now we want to go on down our PIP to our goals and interventions. Now, our goal monitoring is where we're going to track our outcome measures to determine how we're doing with reaching our goal. Now, for this PIP, we're going to be tracking our hand hygiene compliance each month for the next 3 months. And as you can see, there's a space there for your measured dates, and I've already put those in for each of for that hand hygiene compliance for each month. And we have 3/31, 4/30, and 5/31 as our dates. Now, our data would be the percent of the observed hand hygiene compliance. So we're going to continue our audits every month, and we're going to put those in for those dates. That's when we're going to start looking at those, is at the end of each month, and determine that percent of compliance. Now, that hand hygiene that tracking tool that you can customize for your hand hygiene audits is really helpful with tracking your compliance and your percentages and all of that for you, that you can use for your performance improvement project. Now, as you enter your measured rate, this is really going to give you a good look of how you are progressing or not progressing, perhaps, with your project. Now, while we have an end date or an end goal of 5/31, we want to keep track too as we go along through there to see how we're doing. So if on March 31st, I had for the March audits an 85% compliance, I could see really easily that, oh, we're progressing with this. Great. But if come April 30th, I still had only an 85%, I could see that we really haven't made any progress toward our end goal. So we really want to make that 95% by May 31st, and we could still do that. But it also may be a good time if you're not seeing that progression to maybe look and see what's going on, pull your team back together, and maybe take a look at some things. But it really is a good way to keep track of what is happening with your outcomes and your goals. So let's move on down because this takes a while, and I want to make sure we get it through everything. But we're going to take a look at our interventions here. Now, these are the interventions that we're going to use to eliminate our root causes and that we're going to use for our PDSA, or Plan, Do, Study, Act process. Now, our selected root cause, I've listed hand sanitizer locations, and our start date is going to be today. We're going to start that today. So we've selected an intervention of placement of additional dispensers throughout our facility. Now, again, this is what we're going to try to use to eliminate that root cause of the locations of the hand sanitizer dispensers. Now, if you have more than one intervention for a root cause, you would just go down to the next line, put that in. You could put in the date, you could put in the hand sanitizer locations and the date again, or you could, keep it just under the interventions. But that's where you could put that. But for today, so we can look at a couple of different root causes, we're just going to do one. So for the next one, we're going to go down to the staff need reminders. I've placed that one already in the form, and I'll put the date in again. And for this intervention, I'm going to put that we added additional hand hygiene signage because we added more signage throughout the facility to remind staff of performing that hand hygiene. Now, Gina has put into chat, and I want to point this out to you too, in case you're not looking at chat or can't see it, that you can add more lines to this if you need more lines for your interventions. So these are customizable, and you can put more lines in these if you need them. So the next column is our PDSA cycle. Now, whenever we do a performance improvement project, we need to utilize the Plan, Do, Study, Act process with it. And we have done the plan for our hand hygiene, and we've done the interventions, which is, the do part of this. And now we're going to look at our outcomes. We're going to study and see what has happened. Now, again, this isn't something you're going to do right off the bat. This is something that's going to take place later on. But we're going to pretend like, we've been doing this for a while. And this is what we have found is that the use of hand sanitizer increased as evidenced by the need for frequent refills of our dispensers. So we will also take a look at our data to see if our data is showing our progress or not. You always want to make sure that you're looking at your data as well. And then next, we're going to determine if we want to adapt, adopt, or abandon that intervention. So with this intervention, we know that the staff are using more hand sanitizer, and maybe we are seeing that increase in our numbers, and we've made that 95%. So we want to adopt this intervention. So we're going to put that in our PIP here. And then for our next selected root cause of staff need reminders, our PDSA cycle again is one. And for outcomes, our audits revealed this time that hand hygiene and compliance had improved, but the staff also needed reminders, even still with that additional signage. So this intervention didn't quite work out as well, but we don't want to completely abandon that. And what we could do here is maybe adapt it and add some laminated hand hygiene pocket cards, and give those out to the staff. Maybe they could put them on their lanyards, keep them in their pockets, and just have that extra reminder there. These are just a few easy examples that we've done here today for you. And your PIP, of course, is going to be whatever you're going to need for your facility and whatever your root causes show, and what you need to do to affect that change in your building. So, but this is just to give you an idea how you can take that data and take it from your audits and to turn it into that performance improvement plan or your QAPI project. So we want to also make sure that we talk about outcomes and sustainability. Now, this allows us to take a deeper look and document about our interventions and what has worked and what has not worked, and our lessons learned. Now, you may not have identified any barriers. You may have had an intervention that didn't work out at all. So you may not have had a success with that, but this would be where you would document those. Or you could be like us and have some successes and some barriers. And on our first intervention, the addition of the dispensers throughout the facility, we had the success of seeing the use of that alcohol-based hand rub increased. So that is what the success was. And we did see an improvement in that our hand hygiene compliance. The barrier, it wasn't a big barrier, but we were pleased that they were using more, but we noticed that the dispensers needed to be checked routinely for refilling because doesn't help if they're not full. So our lessons that we learned for this was that while it was a good intervention to put additional dispensers up in the facility, we also need to monitor those and routinely refill those. So now EVS is checking those, environmental services is checking those at the beginning and end of their shift to ensure they're adequately filled. Now, for our next intervention, the additional hand hygiene signage and pocket cards, our successes that we identified was the improved hand hygiene compliance, but the staff still needed reminders because they didn't always have, that sign right in front of them. So the signage alone helped, but the addition of the laminated pocket cards caused a noted increase in the hand hygiene compliance, having that reminder right in front of them. So these are our outcomes, and now we have met our goal. So um, what do we want to do? We don't want to just stop. Okay, we've met our goal. We're done now. We want to think about sustainability. So now that we are showing that 95% or greater compliance with our hand hygiene, which is great, we need to make sure that we keep that momentum going. So I've got my PIP goal date entered here of 5/31, and we want to start our sustainability as soon as possible. So I put my start date for June 1st. So we want to think about what we are going to do to sustain that hand hygiene compliance that we have seen. So we have hand sanitizer dispensers that were added outside the residence room and throughout the facility, but we are making sure that those are checked and that they're adequately filled by environmental services during their daily routine. Um, and at the beginning and end of their shift. We've also added hand hygiene signage, and we've added that to the daily rounds for our department heads. The department heads will now also check, in addition to the other things, when they do their daily rounds to see if we need any um, signs replaced or if there are any missing. So that's something that we're going to do to help sustain that. We also are going to present those hand hygiene pocket cards to all of our new staff, in addition to our current staff, and give them maybe a company lanyard to keep them on at orientation, just so they have that right there, and it's a visual reminder for them. And then, of course, we're going to continue to audit and make sure that we're able to maintain that compliance. So Sarah, can you take us back to our slides? Now, I know we've went through this really, really quickly today, but we really just wanted to give you an idea of what that would look like, pulling that over into a performance improvement project. Now, we've added some slides here, and I'm just going to go through these quickly because we're getting close to our time. But these are some change ideas and some interventions. The one thing that I would add, if you're adding signage to your facility, consider any language barriers that there may be. If there are people who don't speak exclusively English or maybe don't speak English, you may need to look for some signage in some additional languages to put up for those people. Next slide. We do have a PDSA worksheet. This is available on our website for you to download as well, and it can help you work through that process and help you with your PIP and your documentation. Now, on the next slide, we're going to talk about, again, that sustainment piece. You want to make sure that you're committed to that improvement, that you update any of your facilities processes or procedures and policies. Make sure that you're communicating that and the outcome to your staff. Make sure that your new staff is educated on all of these new interventions that you've added, and make sure that you include the processes in your new employee orientation. Make sure that you share your data. It's good to put up, little signs, graphs to show how things are improved. Also show why you're doing this. Include these things on your competencies that you perform with your staff, and keep on monitoring and auditing and supporting that. Next slide. Now, we do have lots of QAPI resources for you. The Intelligent Quality Improvement Workbook has every one of these tools that we've talked about today linked in there. So you can download this off of our website, and these are all fillable again online. You can add lines to them if you need to, but these are some great tools that will help you with your performance improvement projects and your quality improvement efforts. Does anyone have any questions? I know we're at time, but I want to give people an opportunity to ask questions really quickly. We'll stay on a little bit if someone has questions. It's a lot, and it's a lot to go through very quickly, but we wanted to give you an idea, and please reach out to us. We have our LinkedIn and our Facebook pages that you can connect with as well. You can contact us at nursinghomeattelligent.com, of course. Next slide. And Thursday, I want to give a shout out for Thursday. Don't forget, Thursday, March 6th is our final session, and it's going to be a celebration. So you're going to want to join that one. So we really hope we get to see everybody there on Thursday. It's been really great getting to spend time with everyone during these sessions. We just want to take a minute to thank you for all of your support through out the past several years and for being with us on Nursing Home Quality Essentials. Have a great day, everyone.